full house here. Is that what it is? Kellen, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. That was awful. Good morning. Welcome to the November 18th, 2019 Board of County Commissioners. On my right is Commissioner Kevin Cook, representing District 2. And on my left is Commissioner Aaron Mays, representing District 3. I'm Bill Rippon, I represent District 1. First item.
First item is item 3, consent agenda.
I would move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item 4, County Clerk, number 1, consider voucher payments.
Commissioners, this morning we have vouchers that total $2,785,321.23. I might remind the public that there was no commission meeting last week on Monday or Thursday, so this represents multiple vouchers that we would have otherwise taken up on those days. Some of the highlights out of the voucher reports are the equipment leases for the copiers with U.S. Bank. We have with Flint Hill Construction, the painting of the pool slides, that's under Parks and Recreation, building maintenance. Sunflower paving for the curbs of various parks, it's under the Equipment Fund for Parks and Rec. Finip and turnip seed for $50,000 for 45th and Croco. That's partial payment of infrastructure through Public Works. The Kansas Children's Service League, United Way, it's $25,450 under the Health Department. The purchase of Haydite of $98,878.74 with Public Works. And then finally, Axon purchase with the Sheriff's Office, $42,728. I do not have any questions regarding the vouchers and would move for their approval.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move that we approve correction orders.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item A3, consider approval of resolution number 2019-84, updating the Shawnee County procedural capital asset and inventory policy.
I'll move that we approve.
I'll second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Thank you, Commissioners. Item B, District Attorney, number 1, consider approval of request to transfer $50,000 from the DA's 2019 budget to a project fund for office renovations in 2020.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Kage, Shawnee County DA. The first request I have before you today involves our ongoing discussions around the space needs that we currently have in the DA's office. We are projected to finish the year with a surplus slightly over $100,000 in this year's budget. I had hoped to use some of those funds to renovate a new space. It appears that that will happen next year. It is my hope that we can transfer $50,000 from this year's budget, because we have a surplus, into a special project fund for future use for that specific purpose.
You've gone through with Betty Griner to make sure we've met all the procedural requirements for this.
This was actually Betty's idea, so I think I'm on solid ground.
I don't have any other questions.
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner May, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item B2, consider approval of request to repurpose the capital murder death penalty case fund as a dedicated resource to review and work cold cases.
Commissioners, in 2014, this fund was created because at the time the DA's office was handling 3 capital cases, which are also death penalty cases. We have not had any since that time, and this fund has just been kind of sitting there. It occurs to me that we do have a number of cold case homicides which have been investigated over the years by our law enforcement partners, and which I believe, with a little bit of footwork, could be ripe for prosecution. These are all old murder cases that have not been solved, victims and victims' families that are still waiting for justice. And it would be my request that we repurpose this fund that's already in existence to allow my office to use it specifically to bring in a dedicated resource to investigate and prosecute cold case homicides. And I believe the Sheriff's Office, well, I know the Sheriff's Office is in support. I think they might be willing to say something about that. And I've already spoken to the Topeka Police Department and the Chief's Office, and they are fully supportive of this measure, and we've talked about how it would work moving forward.
Questions?
No?
I move that we approve.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item B3, acknowledge receipt of correspondence regarding the renewal of a 2-year contract, contract C408-2019, for appellate services from the Office of the Kansas Attorney General and the Shawnee County District Attorney at the cost of $105,000 for 2020, 2020, and $110,000 for 2021, with funding from the DA's 2020 budget request and a 5-year plan.
Commissioners, 2 years ago, my office entered into a contract with the Office of the Attorney General to handle the bulk of our appellate work. By entering into that contract, we were able to save a lot of money, and we continue to be able to do so as we move forward, and we are very pleased with the quality and the nature of the work that is being done by the AG's office on our behalf.
Questions?
In the past, we had 2 attorneys that were working as the appellate attorneys, and having shifted that then to the Attorney General's office. Has Shawnee County lost any of its autonomy or direction, or do we serve at the direction of the Attorney General on appellate cases?
We retain our individual discretion and our autonomy, Commissioner. As I'm sure you're aware, previously when we filed our own appeals and did all that appellate work on our own, it's still subject by statute to review by the Office of the Attorney General. So there's always been kind of an approval process, and that's a statutory design. We have not lost our discretion, our ability to pursue appeals that we think are appropriate. They've been very reasonable and easy to work with, and we have those discussions on an ongoing basis.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions. I would move for approval of the contract.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Item C, planning, number 1, consider approval of resolution number 2019-85, redesigning Northwest Meadow Crest Road in North Valley Farm subdivision number 2 to Northwest Meadow Crest Road.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Anderson, Planning Department. The purpose of this resolution is quite simple. It's just to correct the street name once and for all. The property was platted in 1986 as Meadow Crest Road. Over the years, for reasons unknown to me, the name has somehow morphed into Meadow Crest as one word instead of 2 words. The plat right now overrides, is the overriding instrument that dictates what the plat's name or the street's name is called, unless you pass this resolution that redesignates it as Meadow Crest. If the resolution is approved, I will get with the county recorder's office to make sure that this resolution is attached with the plat record, so that's the final link to make sure that the public, anybody pulls title search, understands that the name has been officially changed, if that's your will on this date. So with that, the staff is recommending approval of the resolution, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I had a number of correspondence about this. They're very much in favor of changing it to one word, so. I would move that we, do you have any questions?
No.
I move that we approve this.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item D, Stormont Vale Event Center. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C409-2019 with Equipment Share of Topeka for a 3-year lease of two skid steer machines with funding from the annual operating budget of Stormont Vale Event Center.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kellen Seitz, Inspector of Venue Management, the Stormont Vale Event Center. The request before you today is a lease agreement for 2 skid steer units through Equipment Share of Topeka. The former lease agreement was held with another equipment leasing agency here in town. The reason that we're changing leasing companies is we have secured a partnership deal with Equipment Share of Topeka that helps offset these annual costs. The cost difference between the equipment lease with Equipment Share and the previous contractor is minimal. It's less than $50 annually, but the retention of additional sponsorship funding for that 3-year agreement is substantial. Happy to answer any questions there.
Have none, I'd move for approval.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item D2, consider waiving the purchasing resolution and award the bids and purchase the following FF&E items. A, loose furniture, not including, what's that, L-O-G-E?
Loge,
What
loge
is
back
it?
seating. It's a chair.
Okay, it's a chair. Okay, so that's not that kind of special chair. Seating to BA Designs at a cost of $31,609.58. B, under-counter beverage coolers to Lowe's at a cost of $2,998.20. C, 55-inch TVs for Gov Connection, Inc. at a cost of $1,388. And D, TV accessories, wall brackets, and cables at an estimated cost of $500.
Good morning again, Commissioners. This is a carryover from the last commission meeting. These are the remaining FF&E items that we're bringing back before you that have went through the bid process with HTK and Spectra to source the materials needed for some of the fixed furniture and equipment for the spaces that are being turned back over to us. As you can see in the bid specs, the purchasing policy is followed as much as we can through the Shawnee County purchasing policy, so happy to answer any questions that you might have on the equipment that we're asking to purchase.
I just might note that the total cost is $253,008. So it's not just the $31,029.98. It's the total amount that's being spent is $253,008.
That is the total remaining balance of the fixed furniture and equipment account.
Okay.
What's being spent on this request is a total of $36,495,
Okay.
which leaves a remaining balance of $182,000.
All right.
Betty Griner, Director of Administrative Services. I also wanted to just point out that our IT department helped in the bidding for the beverage coolers and the TVs. So, excuse me, it has been a cooperative effort, and our IT department has been helping out in this also.
Okay. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just might also note that there are exceptional circumstances in this case due to time and need to have this done very quickly, but it would not be the Commission's position, or should not be the position of the Commission, to waive the purchasing policy just for any given reason, but only on exceptional circumstances such as this. So just making sure that we're not setting a pattern or practice for future purchasing requests. But I move to approve otherwise.
Is this motion just for these items and that's it?
Yes.
Correct. Yeah, any remaining fixed furniture and equipment will come back before you and follow those policies as we move along down the line.
Okay, I'll second that. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item E, Health Department, number 1, consider approval of request to apply for the Kansas Department of Health and Environment Overdose Data to Action Grant in an amount of $45,639.56.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department. We did have the opportunity to apply for some funding from the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. It is funding from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And the objective of this grant is to support comprehensive, data-driven local projects that address prevention of opioid-involved morbidity, mortality, and harms in Kansas counties that are most impacted by the opioid crisis. KDHE did identify Shawnee County as a high-burden locality. I'm not in any way saying we have an opioid crisis here. What we would like to do with this funding is find out what kind of a problem we do have. So we would take this first year to do an assessment, do a strategic plan, and then we would have opportunity for funding for 2 more years, up to $50,000 each year. And I have with me today Michelle Voth, who's the Executive Director of Prevention and Recovery Services. We met, Michelle and I and Bill Persinger from Vallejo, and talked about how could this money be best used in our community. The Health Department has to apply for it, but we can go into an agreement with PARS to let them work the grant and do the work of the grant and give them part of the funding from the grant. So that is our plan at this point with this money, with your approval. So I do think it's a great way to bring this money into our community and find out what kind of a problem do we have here. Do we have other substance problems? So it will give us some good data to use for future planning. Michelle, did you want to add anything?
Well, the only thing that I would add is with the strategic planning that we will engage in, there are 3 areas that the state is really interested in and CDC in addressing. And those are implementation of strategies that would increase prevention services and response strategies, increase awareness and coordination of linkages to care, and improve coordination of public health and public safety. And we've already been meeting with TPD, Fire Department, on some collaborative kinds of things, and there does exist a collaborative group called the Shawnee County Prescription Drug Collaborative that's been working about 3 years, which involves the hospitals, Grace Med, and a whole other host of organizations that are working in health issues that will serve as an advisory group.
So at this point, we entertain any questions you would have.
Questions? I'll move that we approve.
I'll second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item F, Public Works, number 1, consider approval of request to reject request for qualifications responses received for on-call right-of-way appraisal and acquisition services, and to reissue the RFQ for the same services at a later date.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kurt Niehaus, Director of Public Works. On September 19th, the Commission approved a request, Public Works request, to issue requests for qualifications for both on-call appraisal services and on-call acquisition services. Obviously, these 2 contracts would support our projects where we have to acquire right-of-way or easements. We received responses, but the number of responses were inadequate in our opinion. And for example, for the appraisal side, we received 1 response from a company in Overland Park, and on the acquisition side, we received 2 responses. Again, we think that's inadequate. The company that we presently have a contract with, they are no longer interested in doing business. That's a little strong. They're no longer interested in continuing with that service, so they will not be responding. And if this request is approved, they will not respond again. So, any questions?
Are there many businesses that do this in Topeka?
There's not a lot, but we're confident we know of more that are local that we think we can, if we get the word out, we can generate some more interest.
Motion to approve the request to reject the qualifications bid.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item F2, consider approval of request to proceed with the traffic signal upgrade to 3 intersections. South Topeka Boulevard at Southwest Gary Ormsby Drive, South Topeka Boulevard at Southwest University Boulevard, and South Topeka Boulevard at Southwest 57th Street, for a total estimated cost of $850,000, including design, with $711,000 in funding from the Federal Aid Highway Safety Improvement Program funds, $89,000 in funding from the Public Works Special Highway Fund, and $50,000 in design costs reimbursed once the construction project lets.
Kurt Eons, Director of Public Works. On July 22nd, the commission approved our request to solicit bids for the design and construction of an intersection signal improvement at the intersection of Southwest Topeka Boulevard and Southwest University Boulevard. The $70,000 that was allocated would improve or provide or add dedicated left turn signals on northbound Topeka Boulevard and southbound Topeka Boulevard. So only those two legs would be improved. Since that time, we have been able to garner some federal funds through KDOT in the amount of a total of $850,000, where $50,000 is estimated for design. So the $800,000 would cover construction and construction engineering for 3 locations on South Topeka Boulevard: the intersection of Southwest Topeka Boulevard and 57th Street, Gary Ormsby Drive, and 77th Street. Well, let me re-say that. 57th Street, University Boulevard, and Gary Ormsby Drive. In addition, the $800,000 would improve all 4 legs of the intersection, not just 2 legs like we were going to do originally, but all 4 legs for a total of 12 legs. So the county's portion would be approximately $89,000. Again, the $50,000 that is estimated for design would be reimbursed by the state to the county once the project is let. So for an additional $19,000, we go from improving 2 legs at University Boulevard to improving 12 legs at 3 intersections. And the improvements include new structures, new electronics, new railroad preemption. I think this is just a real deal for the county, and I recommend approval.
Any questions? I would move that we approve.
Second?
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Item G, Solid Waste Department, number 1, consider approval of request to issue requests for quotations for a qualified consultant team to prepare the 2020 Shawnee County Solid Waste Management Plan at an estimated cost of $75,000 with money from the 2020 Solid Waste Collections operational budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Sutton, Department of Solid Waste. KSA 65-305 directs that every county in the state of Kansas must develop a workable plan for the management of its solid waste. And that the Board of Commissioners must approve that plan prior to it being submitted. It's on a 5-year cycle, and the next plan is due to the KDHE in 2020. The previous plan it was developed within the county's departments, and it did not necessarily address all of the needed aspects for the management of the solid waste. The current plan has reached the end of its feasibility with the emerging trends and processes in the solid waste industry, and as a result, we are asking for a qualified consultant team to provide the publication and presentation of the solid waste management plan for the county itself. It's estimated $75,000. That is on the high end. Another county over in the Kansas City area did this plan with a consultant team, and I just took their estimate and knocked it down a little bit because our plan will not be as much as the depth as theirs. This funding will come out of the solid waste operational budget, which is 100% user fee funded with no expense to the taxpayers. I got Linda here from the Health Department to address any questions.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department. We are working together on this project, the Health Department and Solid Waste. In the past, the Health Department did write the past plans. We did what we needed to do, but we feel like we can have a more robust plan and a plan that can really help the Solid Waste Committee have some direction and do some work. So that is why when Bill came up with this idea, I thought it was a really great idea to help bring in some expertise that we haven't had in the past. So we would be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
Move for approval.
I'll second. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next
Thank you,
item.
Commissioner.
Item H, Parks and Recreation, number 1, consider approval of request to award bid to Americrete for concrete trade services to address repairs for small-scale projects and authorization and execution of contract C-410-2019 for same.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Boyd, Parks and Recreation. We went out for award bids, and we received 2 responsive contract bidders, and we're just requesting approval for this contract.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner May, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item H2, consider approval of request to solicit bids for lifeguard operations at aquatic facilities.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation. Before you today is asking your approval to go out for an RFP for bids for the lifeguard operation of all our aquatic facilities. As you're probably aware, we hire over 200 lifeguards a year. There's a lot of expenses with that, and we'd just like to experiment to find out if there's a company out there that can do it more efficiently and economically than we can. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
This is for the training or recruitment or?
Yes, they would take care of basically the hiring process, the interviews, supervising them, managing, paying the benefits, paying everything.
I don't know that this is a very good path that we should be going down. I know that we do hire 200 employees every summer, mainly college and high school students. But once we start down this path of looking at this and they're not, where other people are going to be calculating benefits and hiring, I don't know that this is a path we should be heading down. But I won't oppose requesting the bid just to know what's out there and what our options may be. But when it comes to a final vote, I'm pretty skeptical at this point.
Do you think there's any savings in doing this?
That's what we're trying to find. More and more departments are doing this. We met with a company out of Kansas City, and I know the bid will be expensive, but that's where we've got to compare bids and find out if it does or not. We just thought it would be good to benefit the taxpayers of Shawnee County to just see if there was a savings. There may not be, we don't know.
Is this kind of like a manpower? So do they pay the employees or?
Yes, they basically hire the employees, and it would be the same kids, adults, college kids that we hire basically, because they're going to, they're going to ask us who we've hired in the past and recruit for them from this area. But they would take care of all the, workman's comp, anything like that that came up, and they would pay for the swimsuits, the whistles, everything else that they need, the drug screening, the background checks, all that.
Go ahead. Aaron.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Now, is only for the lifeguards, not necessarily the people that work in the concession stand and take admission fees?
Correct. We're looking at, we would hire the cashiers and the concessions, and then obviously take the money. There's been operations where the company does everything and they take all the money, but that's not the route we were looking at for this time.
I guess ultimately, when this comes back, a question I will have is, whose employee is this? Are these even county employees? Is the county going to be liable if something happens, if there's an issue with whether or not proper procedure was exercised by the lifeguard? And again, I think I don't know that we have enough information just from this one-page, two-paragraph memo.
Tim Laurent, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Department. Yeah, this is very preliminary.
But I wanted to stress the fact that we would still be operating these aquatic facilities. So they would be following our rules, our procedures. Our supervisor would still ultimately be in charge. We would still be having the same, yes, they would be employed by this agency, but we would still have the ability to go in and correct issues when we saw them immediately. It's just at this point, very preliminary, I want to say, exploration of whether or not this would benefit us or not. I mean, there's a very good chance that we get responses back and realize that there are no cost savings, or perhaps the cost savings aren't substantial enough that we feel comfortable moving forward. So all we're asking today is to start that preliminary exploration, and then once we get those bids back, we would work up some, information and bring it back to this board, to this commission.
I guess, again, coming back to, when it comes to a degree of supervision, if you're going to have somebody over at the aquatic facility, and these aren't even our employees, what ability do you have to reprimand, hire, fire? And I think those are all things that would need to be spelled out in the contract. I understand this is very preliminary, but where does this end, too? Why don't we go to our horticulturists? Why don't we go to our mowers? Why do we even need Randy?
Well, we're asking that question. That's ultimately what started this. We look at it as a similar model on what we're doing with our golf course operations. So we do contract our front end out at our golf courses. So it's similar in a way. But yes, all of what you just mentioned as far as, that would all be written into the contract. I've seen some preliminary contracts with other agencies, and all of that is addressed. So.
Mr. Mays?
What would the timeline look like on this in terms of, if you get back the RFQs and let's say you decide not to do anything and to keep it the way it is, you feel confident that you'd have time to get the staff hired the same way that we normally would?
Absolutely. This won't impact operations regardless of which way we go. We'll be recruiting. There's a chance we may be recruiting. Let's say we got bids back and we came back to this body and we decided to move forward with the plan. There's a good chance we may have already started recruiting at that point, and then we would just work with the whoever was awarded the bid to continue that process. There would be no delay in operating or opening our aquatic facilities regardless of how this turns out.
Do these bids generally, do they have any provisions for, or clause there for liability insurance from these companies?
Yes, they do.
I'm not going to make a motion or second it, but I'm not going to oppose going out for the bid because I think that we should have the ability if the Parks Department wants to look at it, but at this point, if this was coming for approval, I would be very skeptical of approving it if this was a final, without more information and nailing down some of these details that were discussed today.
I would too. I'd want to know a lot more details, but I will make the motion to approve so we can take a look at this.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next item.
Item H3, consider approval of request for Park Police to submit an online application for the 2019 Walmart Community Grant funding to be used to outfit current vehicles in the fleet with additional basic equipment.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Cope, Shawnee County Park Police Chief. This is an opportunity that Walmart provides to the community to give back to. One of my officers, Stephen Smith, found out about it and he seeks forward with it. So we're asking if we can just move forward and see if there's any money out there that we can get to outfit our patrol cars. Feel free to answer any questions that you like.
This is a grant that we applied for?
Walmart calls it a grant. To looking at the documentation and stuff, it appears more of a donation type thing, but since they call it a grant, that's why we went this direction.
Any questions?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second that. Motion's been made by Commissioner May, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item H4, consider authorization and execution of contract C411-2019, amending contract C134-2017 with Boys and Girls Club Topeka to include a 3-year lease with the Velma Cape Harris Community Center at a rate of $1,900 a month.
Good morning, Commissioner. Susan Fowler, Hensler, Parks and Recreation. The contract before you is a continuation of an agreement for the Boys and Girls Club to operate. They're providing youth before and after school programs at Vilma K. Paris along with summer programs. I'm going to have Dawn McWilliams come up and talk a little bit more about their programs that they're offering down there. But we've been very pleased with the attendance that they're having, the numbers of youth that they are serving in the Montera area, and their fee that they are paying monthly does help cover all of the utility costs at the center.
Good morning. Dawn McWilliams, Executive Director of Boys and Girls Clubs at Topeka. We're grateful for the opportunity to provide programs at the Montera community, to provide services for kids who need us when they need us. We're providing before, after, school day out, as well as summer programs, 9-week comprehensive summer program filled with targeted programs that include education services, literacy, tutoring, as well as good character and citizenship, healthy lifestyles programming when it comes to drug resistance, alcohol resistance, etc. We're averaging about 83 kids a day in that program. 67% of those kids live at or below poverty level. We have an incredible partnership with USD 437, specifically Pauline South and Pauline Central. Because of the work that we're doing with those kids that are infused in both of those schools, last year we were awarded a 5-year grant with the Department of Education for even greater comprehensive services for those kids who are at risk, to provide a deeper dive in tutoring services, as well as more activities around introducing kids to the arts, recreation, etc. It's also afforded us a really unique opportunity with the Topeka Pilots. They are providing a mentoring program to all of those kids. They come out twice a week, and it has been very, very well received by those kids. We're very, very grateful for the opportunity to reach those kids who need us. Stand for questions.
About how many kids take advantage of this program?
We have about 187 kids that are enrolled, and on average 82 to 84 kids per day.
I would move that we approve.
Second.
Motion's been made by
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next item.
Item I, Commission Number 1, consider canceling the December 26th commission meeting.
I would like to make a motion that we cancel the meeting on December 26th.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Augustine with the Department of Human Resources. And today, I'm also representing the United Way of Greater Topeka. And so I have with us in the audience several representatives from United Way Greater Topeka, as well as employees that have served on the United Way Steering Committee for Shawnee County's workplace campaign. So our Shawnee County United Way campaign kicked off, and so it's been a flurry of events, so including breakfasts over at the Solid Waste and the Public Works North Annex, breakfast over here in the courthouse. We had events such as the IT department's donut sale, And we had the Department of Corrections jail lunch, as it was billed, but the burrito dinner. So, a lot of different events, culminating ultimately with the Shawnee County United Way Golf Tournament, and that was headed by Randy Luby. So, at this time, I'd like to ask everybody that participated in the United Way Steering Committee to come front, and then also the representatives from the United Way to also come front. So, at this time, on behalf of Shawnee County and the employees of Shawnee County for our workplace So, on behalf of the employees of Shawnee County, we'd like to present to the United Way of Greater Topeka a check in the amount of, a very large check, in the amount of $10,040.70.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is wonderful. We truly value our partnership with Shawnee County. We can't tell you enough how much we appreciate your commitment, not just through workplace campaigns, but through volunteerism, through Nancy Parody of Caring, and allowing Mike Augustine, who was our campaign ambassador, allowing him to have some time to help us do all of our workplace campaigns. Over 200 campaigns in a 2-month period of time, 3-month period of time is not doable with 2 staff. So we honestly couldn't have done it without the support of Shawnee County, and I thank you so much.
We also, so last week we had an opportunity to recognize all of our campaign ambassadors that served this year, and as Jessica said, those folks are really a critical extension of our campaign. We could not do the work we do without them, and so we were really excited to be joined by Mike in that effort, and he wasn't able to join us that morning, but we did want to make sure that he still got proper recognition and just a small token of appreciation. Awesome. We'll take it to the bank. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Mike, thanks for your work on that, and all the staff at Shawnee County. Thank you very much.
Commissioners, Mike Cope, Shawnee County Park Police. I'd like to give a shout out to our local Best Buy, who donated 4 digital cameras for use for investigation purposes for the Park Police. So we want to just thank that and have them recognized.
Great. Thank you.
Again, good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation. If you recall, last August, we hosted the USA National Class E Championship Slow Pitch at our facilities, and we were just notified this past week that we are awarded the 2021 Class E Championship again. That's quite an honor. They complimented our facilities and our staff and our partnerships with Visit Topeka, and it's just a big kudos to our department and the city of Topeka. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department. The Health Department is sponsoring another free flu clinic. It will be this Wednesday, November 20th, from 10 to 12 p.m. at the Topeka Shawnee County Public Library. And I want to thank the library for reaching out to us to have this event. Anyone 19 or older that is uninsured can come in and get a free flu shot. The holidays are coming, so we want you to stay well. So please come get your flu shot.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sheriff Hill with the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. I want to just let you guys know some of the projects and initiatives we have going with the Sheriff's Office. We've started a Safe Zone Warrants Initiative that we're partnering with 501, with Washburn PD, and also with the Marshals Task Force. And we've identified geofencing around different school areas in Shawnee County, including Washburn University, in which we're going to do warrants initiatives to round up persons who have active warrants in the community. And I want to thank Brian Cole, because he works really well with us, because we tend to make him busy on those days. So we're starting that, and then we're also starting an initiative with my fraud and forgery detectives at the nursing homes in the community. It's getting to be the holiday season, and a lot of the scammers come out. So we're starting some initiatives there to apprise the residents of some of the trends that are occurring during the holiday seasons and things to watch out for. And I think that's it. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kellen Seitz, Spectre Venue Management in the Stormont Vale Event Center. I don't have a big check for you, so I apologize about that. We do have some rather exciting news, though. Last week, we did announce our last event for 2019. That will be the PRCA New Year's Eve Extreme Bull Riding event. It'll take place on December the 31st and go right just short of New Year's Eve, and then have a post-event party at a yet-to-be-determined location. And then today, my Director of Marketing is probably going to yell at me when I get back in the office, because I'm going to announce about 15 minutes early, but we will be announcing WWE Live coming back to the facility on Sunday, January the 19th. That announces at 10 o'clock this morning, or right now, and and goes on sale on Friday. So,
Thank you very much. Anyone else? We also invite the public to speak at this time. Seeing none. Commissioner Cook.
Well, Commissioner Rippon, I know that you're pretty excited about that announcement over at the Stormont Vale Event Center. I'm sure you'll be front and center for all of them.
I'm not going to participate in bull riding, but no.
Nothing to report.
Nothing. You have anything?
Well, I don't know if anybody's aware, but tomorrow at about 11:45, Union Pacific has one of the largest steam engines in the world coming through town, the 4014. Just want to remind everyone to be safe as it's coming through. Don't get too close to the tracks, because it is dangerous. I've heard reports that people have a tendency to try and get photos by getting right in front of the train. So keep a safe distance and have fun. I hope everybody gets a chance to go see it.
All right. Last week I attended the annual Kansas Association of Counties in Wichita, and I went to a lot of good seminars there and picked up some good information. I'll be talking to some of the department heads about some of the things I've learned. We also, November 14th, we had the final canvassing of the votes for the general election for 2019. And also on the 14th, I attended, well, as all the commissioners, that was on the 15th, we all attended the township meeting at the Bettis Sports Complex. And I also attended an open house at Washburn Tech. It was a nice event, and some more people got to see that facility, and it was good that Shawnee County was able to step in and help get that facility up and running. So that's all I have. I do want to make a motion to go into executive session, not to exceed 20 minutes, to discuss two items. The first item is for consultation with an attorney for public body or agency which would be deemed privileged in attorney-client relationship, specifically to discuss pending litigation. That we'll take 10 minutes for that. The second item, which will also take 10 minutes for us, to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel, specifically to discuss personnel rules for county employees. No action is expected at this time.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries 3-0. We are now in executive session.
Yeah, I'm excited about getting to do it. We went,
Don't you want to be a bull rider?
we went last year, and my son got hooked on it. It's never, never worry. Concern, I have a lot of concern, but never worry.
All right, we're back in session. No action is taken at this time, so we're adjourned. Sign away.
And you've got about, we got a whole handful of minutes.
Yeah, haircut.
You'll be the last one on this one, okay?
All right.
So you can get all your other